Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Welcome to City Paper Live, Pittsburgh City Paper's new weekly talk show. We're taking over Lynn Cullen's spot every Friday, so just in case you're curious. I'm Amanda Waltz, senior arts writer at City Paper, and with me today is our contributing writer, Tereneh Idia.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is fun.
So what are we going to talk about today?
I think we had kind of talked about maybe patriarchy and purses.
What a broad subject. Well, I think we had a very vague outline for what we were going to talk about today. I think it's going to be a little loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
So, but definitely want to talk about your column. Both columns, because technically you have two columns. You have a fashion column and you also have a social justice column.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of explain a little bit about, I guess just in your own words, I can't explain it because I don't write them.
Yeah.
I edit them. But
Yeah. Well, the social justice column, just thinking about issues that are both local, national, even international. Like what is the impact of the society in which we live in? What are the policies? How does it affect everyday people just kind of trying to live their lives? And thinking about a lot of things about how Pittsburgh talks about itself, what it focuses on, the idea of, like, we talk about pierogies and not samosas, wherein samosas are just as much part of the culture as pierogies are. And just, that aspect of that importance of who we are and what we're about.
Yeah. And your fashion column is also really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. My other gig is a fashion designer. And when I got my master's degree in fashion design, and I was mad that they wanted me to write a paper, a thesis paper. I just wanted to make dresses. And I'm like, what?
Wait, what was your thesis paper about?
It was the social cultural context of clothing. And so I then started to really think about, like, what is the power of clothing and the meaning of clothing and the history of clothing, the politics of clothing. And so with Clothes Make, I really want to get people to think about what they're wearing, why they're wearing it, and just think about the stories behind the clothes. And that would also hopefully get people interested in the impact, the environmental, political, and social impact of clothing. Well, so.
Which is really important now, especially because of when you talk about environmental impact, immediately I think of fast fashion, like Old Navy and and Forever 21. And just
lots of the big brands. I mean, there's something about, back in my day, when I was growing up, way back when, we would take our horse and carriage and
take our horse and carriage to the Sears Roebuck.
Exactly. Kind of, sort of. At East Liberty, back when it was there.
Remember malls? Remember those?
Way back then. And and so we just had we would go shopping for school. We would go shopping for summer clothes.
So did I.
Go shopping and it would be like a twice a year, 3 times a year thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like every week there's a new outfit, there's a new thing, there's a new color, and it's just like there's too many clothes. And I make clothes, and I'm saying there's too many clothes.
There are too many clothes. Yeah. And they're not built to last. I mean, there's a sort of obsolescence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using planned obsolescence.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
That's the right word.
Thank you. So, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the fashion column first? Do you want to talk about your social justice column?
I guess let's talk about the social justice column.
I think we should.
Kind of more of a downer, and then we can end on a high note.
Yeah, let's do that. I will say, so I knew you back when I was freelancing. I think I actually talked to you because you have a cooperative, a fashion cooperative.
Yeah.
And so I talked to you about that. But when I came in here and started reading your social justice column, I was like, okay.
Who is this designer lady?
I love this.
What is she talking about?
No, I mean, I was just so pleased. And I will say one of the things that I really relate to with your column is that I think you voice a lot of thoughts that I've actually had, just in regards to a lot of the issues that are happening. So I think they're very topical. I mean, I guess, how do you choose subjects for each of your columns?
Yeah, it's difficult because I kind of write down all the things that I'm thinking about, and then I try to figure out like which thing is going to be the thing that I write about.
Right.
Or I might tweet something that just pops into my head and think, oh well, maybe this could become a column. But I try to write as many evergreen, hopefully not so evergreen columns as I can, so that it's like this is where we are now, but there's also a historic context. There's a personal context, and we could deal with it now, and so that it kind of goes away. But a lot of times things will come up, and I'm like, I'm retweeting this column from last year because people are saying the same thing, and why didn't you listen to me? I already wrote about this.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true. If only they weren't evergreen.
I know. I wish they weren't.
Wish that was not the case.
Yeah.
Well, your last column is interesting. I was reading it again. I was thinking, yep, I've had these same exact thoughts. But you were talking about the Constitution.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, a lot in the past few weeks, it feels like white nationalism, at least as a term, is being accepted and discussed because it's hard to name the things that are an issue. It's so much a part of our culture that we don't really know how to name it because it's just all around us. So white nationalism is kind of a term that's being used now. I think about white supremacy as a term that's still kind of hard for people to accept. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of go, well, let's talk about the mythology of America and why we're having so much trouble. And people will say, I just don't recognize this country anymore. And as an African American woman, I'm like, well, which country did you think you were living in? The one that's based on genocide and the transatlantic slave trade, and I mean, like, which thing are you confused about? So I just thought, instead of just kind of saying that, I wanted to bring it into something that's part of our written kind of mythology, which really, and just thinking about the preamble to the Constitution, just the we the people. And now we say it in a way that really like is supposed to be inclusive, even though it's still really not.
Yeah.
But even when it was written, it wasn't inclusive. It's like we, who's the we here? And the we was really like maybe 10, 15% of the people in the United States. Certain white men that were land owning were the we. And then people were, again, think about the way African Americans were not even considered human beings. And the Dred Scott decision that came in the 1800s where African Americans were literally considered 3/5 human. I mean, that was a Supreme Court decision. So to imagine that the original humans, the Africans, Homo sapiens, that's what we are, we're only 60% human by law. Not that long ago is who we are.
Yeah.
And it's sad, and we're still kind of like trying to assert our humanity and human rights, and that's part of what the Black Lives Matter movement, even having to say it, can be frustrating because it's like, why would we even have to say that?
To assert that.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think to me, and I mean, other people have said this is not an original thought, but it is something that I agree with, where it's sort of, if you are a privileged person, especially a white person who has certain privileges, I think there's a luxury that you have of not seeing the more disturbing or darker parts of our country's history and saying, oh, this isn't our country, this isn't who we are. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And like, I think as someone I've grown up in rural Pennsylvania, where we had such a problem with skinheads at one point. It was in the 90s that there was actually a Saturday Night Live skit about it.
Whoa.
I remember this very distinctly. And, it's just one of those things where I've never, I guess because I'm interested in the dark underbelly of society, I've never turned away from it. So it's kind of frustrating for me where people are just starting to realize, oh, this is happening. Oh my goodness, there's white supremacy in this country. Yeah. Where have you been?
Where have you been? Yeah.
It's incredibly frustrating, and I've grown up around it. I remember kids in my high school would talk about, oh man, when the race war happens, I can't wait to go out there and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I think it's the thing where I don't even want to explain it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to hold your hand.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to hold your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta look this up yourself
Yeah.
and put on your big kid pants and
And
so
deal with
no,
it, yeah.
it is frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. It's a challenge because it's also part of the mythology of even like the way Pittsburgh talks about itself and this
Right.
idea of a most livable place. And I love that people love Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful city. It's
Right.
where I was born. It's where I was raised. A lot of my understanding about arts and culture and people come from my very multicultural experience of growing up here. So I definitely have to honor that. It's my home. But at the same time, I want people to just be able to think critically
Right.
and just say if it's most livable for you and you know that people are literally in pain and people are sad and people don't feel safe, then does your most livable or safety or joy comes at the expense of someone else?
Right.
And
exactly.
so what do we do to really make it most livable for everyone, as opposed to saying like, well, we're already done, we're the most. It can't be we can't get any better than this. It's like actually there's a lot of room to grow.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I am not a native Pittsburgher.
Mm-hmm.
I will just say that much. I do love the city. This is my adopted city,
Mhm.
but just because you love a city doesn't mean, like you said, there's a room for improvement.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
gotta accept that. You just have to accept that we should want better things
Mm-hmm.
for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And someone tweeted, it was last week or early this week. I was kind of thinking through this again. The idea just kind of like, how do I talk about this? Maybe it would be a future column. And just like, if it's most livable for you, then what is it to me? And how do we work together? How do we figure this out? And someone was saying, I had talked about like racism, sexism, homophobia, and some of the challenges. And someone had said that in conversations with other people here in Pittsburgh, that because there's racism, sexism, and homophobia everywhere,
Yeah.
if it's that can't be included in the way that we assess whether Pittsburgh is most livable. And I'm just kind of thinking, how could something so fundamentally important to people's lives not be included? It's like, well, it's everywhere, so we can't talk about that. It's like, that's such
What?
strange logic.
No.
Like, well, there's racism everywhere, so I mean, it's here too. So I mean, that's just not part of it. But look at the restaurants. It's like, what are you talking about?
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think one of the things too is that I like how direct your columns are. I think partly because, I mean, you don't mince words,
No.
which I very much admire.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think,
you guys help with that.
Oh,
The editors help with that.
oh, I hope
It
so.
takes a couple rounds. Alex Gordon's usually like, no. We're gonna
Okay, by the time it gets to me, I think I'm one of the final edits.
It definitely, you all help. Yeah, you all help.
No,
out.
I mean, they're fantastic. But we live in not subtle times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now we, in our approach, needs to be not subtle.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you grapple with when you're writing?
I don't know. I think a younger version of me would,
Okay.
but I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to frame things in a way that wouldn't, I'm just going to be blunt because,
Yeah.
in a way that wouldn't hurt white people's feelings. And I think about all the times that I've kind of censored myself or like tried to finesse it in a way, and I'm just like, here we are, we're still here.
Yeah.
And people's feelings are going to be hurt no matter what you say, no matter how. It's just like, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
And that's it, because all of this kind of negotiating back and forth is like, I'm giving up some of my freedom in order to make someone else comfortable.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And they're not actually helping me get my freedom at all. They're not a part of
No.
that process of like creating like a just world. They just don't want to feel bad. I
Yeah.
can't really help that. It's like, here's a lollipop, go cry in the corner. I can't. I just can't. I literally have done that for decades of my life.
Yeah.
From school up, because you're taught that. It's like, okay, you got to make sure that, the white people feel comfortable. And, it's like walking down the street and smiling. I'm not a scary black person, I'm smiling at you, or all the different things. I'm not the angry black woman, all this.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? you're gonna call me an angry black woman anyway,
Yeah.
aren't ya?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't worry about that. It's fun.
Exhausting.
This is making me very uncomfortable back here.
Wait, there's a white man in the room.
Oh no! How did he get in here?
Boo!
Our producer. Can we call you our producer, Josh? You're the Roz to our Frasier.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great reference.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't really have any other questions about your social justice column. I'm just gonna say, absolutely read it. It's great.
Thank you.
It's an award winner too, correct?
It's an award winner.
Host up. Right. Come on, let's host.
Tereneh won a Golden Quill.
Yeah, that
Quills?
was wild. That was so funny.
Well deserved.
Unexpected.
I do want to talk about your fashion column.
Yes.
Because I think one of the things that it's just not something that people think about. Clothes,
Yeah.
it's just something we put on our body so we don't get arrested
Yes.
for public indecency.
Yeah.
But no, there are a ton of politics to clothing, and I think especially in terms of feminism,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a couple things that you have written about that I was very intrigued by. You talked about pockets in dresses.
Yes.
One, and how you as a designer feel about putting pockets in dresses, and it's something that I've thought about because there are definitely a lot of debates about how women's clothing just don't have pockets, or they have insufficient pockets, or inadequate pockets, or pockets that are sewn shut.
Yeah.
Which a lot of feminists, rightfully so, say, this is something to push us into buying more accessories and to have purses and make us consume more. But you had a very different take on it.
Yeah. It's different when you have to sew the pockets into clothing.
Yeah.
I make clothes. That's like I said, my other job, and so I understand the criticism. And
Right.
there's lots of times when, I don't buy clothes in the same way that I used to, because I'm generally making them. But I could be making something just for myself, and I'll put the pockets in.
Okay.
And I will put on the dress, and the pockets just don't work. The silhouette doesn't work. It's bulky. It's big. It's just the wrong material. It just doesn't work. So sometimes pockets just don't work. And it's not a matter of trying to say, well, women don't want bulk, in their hips and thighs, because some women do, or that there's some kind of great grand conspiracy. I do think a lot of it has to do with the fact that fast fashion has increased. It's a surprisingly large amount of fabric that you're adding to the actual making of the clothes, because it's 4 pieces of material to make a pocket generally. And so I find it less conspiracy and more has to do with the design, the fabric, the texture, and all these other different things. I do know the joy of putting on something and finding out that it has pockets, whether it's a dress or a skirt, and go, it has pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is now like a fun little joke.
Yes, it is. It is. Like you tell someone, oh, I love that dress. The first thing, it has pockets.
It
and
has
they
pockets.
put their hands in to
And then
show
you do a little spin.
And you do the spin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. But I really, for me, if you look at my designs and you try and dress, it doesn't have pockets. There's a reason for it, and I'm not trying to get you to buy a bag, because I don't make that many bags.
Okay. Well, it is too, because I definitely have conflicted feelings about a lot of debates where I'm not going to say your feelings about certain aspects of fashion aren't valid, because one of the things too about high heels, wearing high heels, is some people say this is something that hobbles women. It makes us more vulnerable. It puts us in a dangerous kind of situation. I feel like more powerful when I wear high heels.
Same.
I'm already 5'9".
Okay.
So
I'm like 5'3". I'm a little Smurfette. It's okay though. It's fine.
Oh, stop. Yeah, but as someone who's 5'9", when I put high heels on, I am giant, and I love it.
That's so cool.
And I feel more intimidating, and I feel more imposing, which I like.
Yeah.
And I think that's I don't know. I feel like it just really depends on your own perception. And I think you and I have actually talked about, or you have talked about high heels.
Yeah, I did have a column on high heels, and just I have a friend who's 6'3", 6 foot, and she never used to wear heels, and I got her to wear high heels. I'm like, girl, be 6'5". It's fine. And so she started wearing, so she started wearing heels. I'm like, that is fabulous. But yeah, I just remember the first time I put them on. I was going to a dance recital, and my ballet teacher took me, and she was giving me like, you might have some hard time, and just take it easy. And I put them on, and I just walked like Naomi Campbell in my head. I don't know if I really did, but that's how I was feeling. I was feeling like Naomi Campbell, feeling fierce, feeling fly, and I love them.
I love high heels.
Yeah.
I can't wear them anymore though because I have inflamed joints.
Oh,
My
I'm
feet.
sorry. That is
It's
not
awful.
good.
It's because I run on my toes.
Okay.
I've destroyed my feet.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the first time I ever wore heels was my sister's wedding. I want to say I was 12. Yeah, and I same thing. It was just they were like those dye bowls that you get at like. Do you remember those?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
I wore.
gosh.
The dress was wine colored. The shoes were red wine colored, and man, they just really just stained my tights.
Okay. Yeah, those dye bowls. You know about how much toxic crap from the 80s and 90s just from those dyeable satin shoes. Those are hideous.
It's insane. They don't need to match.
No, they really don't. They really don't.
Not everything needs to match, you guys. Well, it's also, I was thinking, how do you match it up? Is like if you buy your dress from a bridal shop, do they also have the dye you can take with you? I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I just feel like there were shoe companies that just would dye your shoes. Was it Baker's?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh gosh, isn't that sad that I remember that? Josh, you're not saying anything. I remember Baker's.
Hey, Josh, you remember dyeables? Remember dyeable shoes?
Just wondering.
This is my first experience with dyeables. They sound horrific, though.
They were just awful.
Yeah.
What was the you could get? Were these shoes that came dyed, or was this to have your shoe dyed? And what was the purpose? To match
the dress.
Okay.
And probably the cummerbund that the best men were wearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All matching all the time.
And was the brand of shoes called dyeables?
No.
Okay.
No.
That was just like the term for what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were just plain white satin.
Yeah.
They were very cheap.
Okay.
And then you had to spend a bunch of money to dye them.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. The wedding industry is ridiculous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's what I need to start doing.
Weddings?
Weddings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can make so much money.
Yeah. I need to get in on that action.
I would say that my wedding was pretty practical. I tried not to spend too much money, and I still spent way too much money. It's ridiculous.
It is.
But yeah, what are some of the things that you'd like to talk about in your fashion column? Like, what are some of the things you've been thinking about?
Well, I really have been focused on the clothes make column now and thinking about just doing profiles of people.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I met a really cool artist, Zach Brown. I went to his house, which is amazing, in Munhall, Homestead.
Okay.
So he's going to be in next week's column. I'm really excited about that.
Our editor-in-chief, Lisa Cunningham, is sneaking in here. I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna call you out, girl. You just walked in.
Tons of notes.
Like there's other
What
things to
are
talk
you?
about.
Here, give me that.
Okay, what does it say?
Oh, Lisa wants us to talk about some things.
Okay.
Oh, Dominic Scaife, yeah. So if you want to hand me that, our producer Josh is handing us. So we had an amazing cover story.
Yes.
Dominique. Did you read this?
Yes.
What did you
She's a
think?
huge fan. Well, I'm a fan of Dominique's work. And yeah, she had some pieces at the August Wilson Center as part of the Women in Vision show that closed last month. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see representation of all forms of beauty and just the way that she's there's something so timeless about the sculptures, and it's great.
Yeah, just
iconic.
Yeah, it is very definitely check this out. I mean, just from looking, this cover is so eye-catching because I don't see, unless I'm writing the story, I don't usually see our cover photo until it actually is printed.
Okay.
And when I saw this, I literally just said, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and she had posted on Instagram like pictures of her family like grabbing copies of the newspaper.
Which is like so lovely.
Yeah, it's just happy. It's cool to see how happy people are, and as much as there's stuff online and all of that's really wonderful. Being able to like walk in the streets of Pittsburgh and seeing, this beautiful
just
art,
physical media.
It's just really exciting.
No, it's incredible. Definitely read it. Incredible job, just all around on this. On the story.
Yeah.
So also, airport residency is one of the notes she just gave us.
Okay.
So you did have a residency at the airport.
Yes.
Which also has a lot to do with fashion, but also travel. And I mean, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So it was through the Art at the Airport program, part of the Pittsburgh International Airport. The airport has a really dynamic just space where there's so much art there, and it's really amazing. I didn't even realize how much art there was until last fall. I did a tour of the public art. Through that tour, then I had an idea of doing something with lost and found items and being able to recreate something out of that. So I emailed Rachel Rearick from the airport. They said yes. So in June, I was making kind of travel kits, like eye masks, socks that you would wear on flights out of unclaimed lost and found items.
Oh, okay.
And trading an item for a travel story. So someone would tell me a travel story, and then I would give them like an eye mask. So that was really cool. And then right now, through the end of August, there are 2 garments that I made inspired by public art at the airport. So one dress is made out of wallpaper, actually.
Oh, that's very Project Runway challenge.
I was totally doing that. Yeah. So I found a roll of wallpaper that was unused, and I made it based on the Calder mobile Pittsburgh. It's called Pittsburgh. It's at the Pittsburgh airport. And then another art piece made by CMU grad students called Flight, and it's inspired by folded paper airplanes. And so that dress is based on that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So what are some of the most memorable stories that you collected?
Yeah, there's one amazing woman who was on her way to surprise her family at a family reunion. She had just completed chemo. And was in
you
remission.
Tweeted about this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was actually the first story, the very first day that I was
No
set up.
way.
Yeah, and I was just like crying, and we were taking pictures together, and it's like, wow. It's like you just made this whole experience like on the very, very first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I'm still in touch with her. We still email each other. Yeah, I know. It's like, wow. But the airport residency was just one of the best creative experiences of my life. It's been wonderful.
I mean, and I think just when you're at the airport and it's just the hustle and bustle and the stress of it.
Yeah.
I think there's just something so nice about someone there that you can just sit and talk to. And I don't know.
Yeah, it was cool. I had my sewing machine. People were like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And that was just like you don't expect to see someone sitting there making art. And it's really, really, it was great.
That's awesome.
It was cool. Yeah.
All right, let's see what else. Lisa wants us to talk about. Picnic with Seen Women.
Oh, that was one of the clothes-made columns. That was fun. Yeah. So every month I am going to feature someone, and I guess it was last month? It was Natalie and Sarah from Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Oh, okay.
The Scene
That's
column.
right.
And so I actually cooked a picnic. I prepared a picnic. We went out to Highland Park. We had a picnic.
That's right.
And interviewed them and photographed them. And the pictures came out so cute. And Natalie kept saying, "This looks like an engagement photo session."
Oh,
because they're just so adorable. And they
were
just
really
such great friends. And it's like, we look like we're our engagement photo. Like, we can announce it right here in the city paper.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, Natalie's already married. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, are you gonna continue that? Are you gonna?
Yeah. So one's coming out next week, I think.
Okay.
And so every month there'll be someone, and what I just try to find are people who have I mean, we all have interesting stories, but like have a cool sense of style, and then can talk about what they're wearing and why. And when I say like what you're wearing, I include jewelry, tattoos, like it's all a part of adorning the body. So it's all really, really interesting to me. So.
Yeah. And you always have, I gotta say, you always have the best jewelry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I usually try to bling it out a little bit.
Yeah, that bracelet is
I got
sick.
like crazy beaded bracelet. I have tassels falling off my fingers.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
Just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big. I don't wear bracelets, but rings. Actually, I ran out of the house today and forgot to put my jewelry on, and I feel naked.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah,
I have one ring that's like that for me too. If I don't have it on, I can't. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, my mom used to walk out of the house and she would say, "I forgot my hoops."
Yeah.
She used to keep hoops in her purse.
Yeah.
She was addicted
like
to gold hoops.
A spare pair of hoop earrings.
She would always forget them.
I love that. I
Yeah.
need spare bling. Spare bling in the bag.
I forgot my hoops. And then she would take her spare ones out. She couldn't go out of the house without her hoops.
There you go.
So also,
that is hilarious.
I did an online post that you were nice enough to contribute.
Yeah.
It was a thrift store for National Thrift Shop Day.
Yeah.
And you sent me something that you actually kind of it was like a found piece, and then you added your own spin to it.
Yeah.
And it's part of your REC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the Rect T by T.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's recycled T-shirts. So I get T-shirts from the Goodwill or Red, White, and Blue or whatever resale place, and I screen print over it. And so I had this drawing of myself from a book. I was in a book when I was little.
Yeah.
And so I kind of did a drawing based on that photograph. And then I found a Mr. Rogers T-shirt. And it was Mr. Rogers, and it said, "It's all good in the hood." And it's actually like branded, like Mr. Rogers it's like a real.
Oh, it's like branded.
Yeah, it's like real Mr. Rogers merch.
Okay.
And the photograph and the book was actually a book from a Mr. Rogers book when I was little, because when I was little, I was on Mr. Rogers' show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so I put my picture from a Mr. Rogers book on Mr. Rogers T-shirt, and it seems kind of perfect to me.
It is a really adorable piece. that because you sent me, I didn't include it because I should have, but I didn't. But because you included the T-shirt, and then you had a close-up of the illustration, and then you had the actual photo of you.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're playing tug of war.
I'm playing tug of war. Yeah, I'm playing tug of war, and I'm looking very serious.
I was about to say, you look like you were in it to win it.
Well, it was funny because there was it's a photo book, and so I had to do all these different photos, and one of them was a tug of war, and apparently from family lore says that I got really into the tug of war, and I had to be kind of like talked down
really?
because it wasn't like a real thing, but I really wanted to win. And I was just kind of trying to imagine, because I'm just so sweet and nice, that like, why would I get angry about a tug of war game and get so into it? But apparently I got really into it.
How old were you?
I was, I think I was probably around 6.
Okay. Yeah.
6 or 7.
That's about right.
Yeah. So
yeah. How did that happen?
It was weird. So growing up on the South Side, now it's called South Side Slopes, but it was just the South Side.
Oh yeah.
A neighbor across the street was a camera person for Mr. Rogers' show, and my brother Aneri is 1 year younger than me, and so the two of us together, like, we kind of looked like twins. People thought that we were twins, and like, "Oh, you guys are kind of cute. You should be on this TV show." And we were like, "Okay, what's that?" It's like, "It's Mr. Rogers," and we were like, "Nuh-uh." We probably didn't say "nuh-uh," but probably did. And then we went to Mr. Rogers. We went to QED, in Oakland, and then it was like, "Meet Mr. Rogers, and do you want to be in the show?" And we were like, "Yeah."
What was he like? I've heard he's very. I heard he's very sweet, but it's also sort of like.
Mr. Rogers was like the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was just, you just love being around. I just loved being around him.
Aww.
He never said my name right, but I still love you, Mr. Rogers, wherever you are.
Oh.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. I can't. I've known people who worked on the show, and they said that he was so strict about the way that he would present everything because he had a very clear idea about how he wanted to communicate things to children, and it in an amazing way.
Yeah.
But he was like, this is, they need repetition, they need routine, and like, here's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked, obviously. But I thought that was really interesting that, he was just so dedicated to this vision.
Yeah, I could totally see that. 'Cause even I just think about, like, I can just still remember just meeting him and the way he'd like come down to your level and the way that he would talk to you, and it would just be like you were just the only person he's talking to at that moment. Whether it was 3 minutes, 30 seconds, 3 seconds, it was just like, I'm talking to you right now. And what's your name? And like the whole thing, like, you're special. What do you just, it was, he was an angel.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So going from there, I have a weird idea.
Okay.
And I mentioned this to you.
Oh, right. Yes.
So I'm workshopping this. I want to do a column for the city paper called "What's in Your Bag."
Yay.
Because I am an incorrigible snoop, and I want to know what's in your bag.
Yes.
I want you to open it and show me.
Really? Will
If
it
you,
make too much noise if I do it?
who cares?
Okay.
This is our show.
Yeah, okay. Wow, I have
Ooh, look at that
actually have
bag.
kind of a lot of stuff in my
What
bag.
you got in that bag?
Let me see. All right.
All right. First, I just want you to show.
It
how
appears
gorgeous
as though there's 2 bags.
Well, I have a
No, I
book
want this bag. I want this nice bag.
Yeah, there's a book bag that is my bus and bike bag.
Oh, I like
And
that bag too.
this
I've seen
is
that bag.
So this is a bag that I actually co-designed with the Maasai women.
Yeah.
As part of the Idia collective and collaboration.
Yeah, which I interviewed you about. Yeah, back in the day.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And it's based on actually a men's bag.
Oh, really?
The shape is based on a men's bag because men carry purses.
Like a commuter bag kind of.
Yeah, like a commuter, but more like a cow herding.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
because when they're taking their cows to market, the men go and they'll take a bag and they'll have a bag. So this is like we're like taking the cows to market and we're walking hundreds of kilometers or whatever, and so they have like they'll have a gourd and then they'll have this, but not this bag, but something shaped kind of like
similar to that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you got?
Okay, so I have headphones
Okay.
because when I'm on the bus, I try to block hearing people's conversation.
Same. Are these noise canceling?
No, but I just play music really loud.
Okay. These are wireless.
Yeah,
you're fancy.
I know. iPad.
Oh, I love that. The iPad protector.
Yeah, I made it out of old Obi silk.
Okay. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, my wallet.
Oh,
which
so
is.
What's that receipt for?
The receipt. Oh, that's a good question. It's for a bagel and tea. This from this morning.
Okay. I'm like, wait, are you lying?
Investigative
Ooh,
reporter.
very cool bag. Very cool wallet.
My friend
you
Sarah
need
got me
if you wear
that.
glasses.
Glasses.
I know this.
Sunglasses.
I know this. Ooh, let me see those.
Yeah,
Sunglasses.
vintage. Oh, everything's vintage. eBay. It's either I made it or I
these
got
are
it
the
on eBay.
classic Ray-Bans.
The old the Ray-Bans. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
A coin purse with my.
You have a Metro card.
What is it? Yeah, I have a Metro card. It still has money on it.
You gotta go back then.
You gotta go back.
And I also have my Connect card.
So what?
Okay.
You have M on this little purse.
I have an M for my my dead last name.
Oh, okay. I won't say what it is. Keep the mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, very cute. I like
Sonia
that.
Raquel.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah, Sonia Raquel. Oh gosh, I have too much stuff in here.
I'm just like,
oh,
what a cute
it's
mirror.
Yeah, and Sonia Raquel just went out of business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is gonna be worth something.
I think it's probably worth like $3,000 already.
Oh, the classic
a sports
sack.
sack because, and I got my lip gloss collection.
I need to know what that is, because here's the thing. No, because for somebody who has consistently chapped lips, I have so many lip products. And they're just, I have so many. I will reach into my purse and just pull out a handful of them. Yeah. And I'm like, why are my lips chapped?
I am addicted.
Okay, what do we
get? That's why your lips are chapped.
Because I never wear them.
You need to make a clean break from the crutch of chapstick.
Here's the crazy thing. The best product I've ever used to cure my chapped lips, because they're consistently chapped, is a cream that women use to prevent chapping when they're breastfeeding.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it works so well. It's
the first step in recovery is admitting that you're powerless to the chapstick.
I don't even
listen, Josh.
I don't have chapped lips because I use all this stuff.
Okay, what do we got? Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. I make it.
Can I smell it?
Yeah, I make like a rose Palo Santo oil.
That's very nice.
Insect repellent / perfume.
Oh.
So that's great.
I need that.
And I you want to see all the lip balms?
Yes, I want to see all the lip balms.
Okay, Etsy organic rose.
Ooh. I'm going to smell them too. Is that okay? Okay.
This is Givenchy lip balm. Is awesome.
Ooh, that smells really nice.
This is Trust Hand from the attic on the north side. Ooh. This is Nola.
Givenchy.
This is Pat McGrath. And Glossier lip gloss.
Oh, you need that Glossier.
It's really embarrassing. It's actually more embarrassing. I have a battery thing.
Don't be embarrassed.
For my phone, even though I don't have the cord, so even if my phone dies, I won't be able to charge it. I have a backup pair of plug-in headphones because I really don't want to hear your conversation on the bus.
Yeah, same.
I have my passport because I might have to leave at any moment. So I have it with me all the time.
Can I tell you that I have been, my husband's passport expired, and I've been like, you better renew that soon.
Your passport.
Renew your passport.
If you remember nothing else from this podcast, or renew your passport today. Thank you.
I love how, I renewed mine. And I will say this, it took me forever when I first got my passport, because I went to Europe. I first got my passport. It took forever to get it. When I renewed it, like that.
Wow.
It was like they were telling me, like, you got to get out of here.
You have to get out, yeah. I just, people laugh at me for having my passport. I'm like, you know what?
I don't.
I might have to go.
Can I tell you how many times I've looked at, at like immigration sites for other countries? Oh, girl, you take that on the bus?
I have a Swiss Army knife.
That's not going on the plane with your passport.
It's not going on the plane. I'll give it to a TSA.
Did you know you had that in your bag?
I don't always have this. Sometimes I lose it all the time. But then it comes back.
Look at that Swiss Army knife. This is a legit Swiss Army knife.
And I have.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, I have.
You got another wallet?
This is for my
your
my
cards.
business cards and my phone. I think, and that's it.
I think that's it. Okay, I am not done looking at all your lip glosses.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like this.
It's Pat McGrath. It's kind of.
It's very pretty.
It's wonderful.
I like that.
Rose, clear rose with sparkles.
Wait, does it smell?
How would you ever recover in life if this bag disappeared? It seems like everything you've ever needed is stored in there.
It's a problem. It would be a problem.
You could probably set up camp.
If anyone ever takes Tereneh's bag, I personally, take in style, will hunt you down.
Yeah.
Also, for all the items in there, it's pretty cleanly and
so
organized.
It is pretty good. It's pretty good.
So good.
Did you prepare? Did you clean it out before this?
I did not.
Is this candid? Is this a candid bag, or is this? Okay.
I actually put more stuff in it because the only thing that I would have that would not be, I would have a version of this all the time. The only thing that I added was this is usually in my backpack. But if I am just going with this, then all of this goes with me. And I need because I need sunglasses because I need these glasses and it's sunny or it's glary or it's a lot.
I feel like that's usually why I wear contacts, because I refuse to buy a subscription pair of sunglasses.
Well, I now need to have bifocals because I'm that sexy. And so bifocals. I don't know. I think this bifocal contact lenses, I don't know what that would be like.
Here's the thing, though. I always want to wear like a glass chain around my, like the kind that go around your neck. So you have to pull them up. I want to do that so bad. But it feels so odd when I do it. I've tried it around my house just wearing them, and it's my glasses, number one, are a little bit too heavy.
Okay.
They're a little unwieldy. But also it just feels strange. It also doesn't, I feel like I need to dress around the glasses and the glass chain.
Yeah.
I think you need to ease into it. Just go to a library.
Okay.
Start reshelving some books.
Okay.
And
get a giant cardigan.
And I think it'll come a lot more naturally to just bring those up from hanging around your neck when you're putting back Catcher in the Rye.
It's like, what edition is this?
Yes,
let's
I
see.
like that. Did someone write in that?
It's like I always think of the movie When Harry Met Sally, because Meg Ryan has a amazing outfit where she has the glass chains.
She does have the glass chains.
She
That's
looks,
a good point.
I envied that look so much. I wanted it so bad.
I would like that look. Someone actually gave me a glass chain because they're just trying to be like bifocals, glass chain, just give it all to me. Middle-aged woman, just bring it on.
Yes.
But I can't wear it because I'm sewing, and this like the table it's like mid chest, so I would smash my glasses every time I would come up to sew.
That's another problem. Yeah.
So I actually have to take off my glasses to sew. I'm not sure why, because they're bifocals, so I should be able to wear them. I don't.
No,
I just put them away and just go.
Yeah. So, no, I totally understand that. I had a charm bracelet that I had to stop wearing because anytime I would put my hand down to use the mouse on my computer, it would just...
Oh, right.
It would just make this awful clattering noise. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need a job that... There's no such job. I need a job where I don't have to use a mouse on a computer.
It'll be like your eyes would be the mouse.
Oh.
Have you been to the Carnegie Museum? Have you seen that?
Do they have a new thing?
Accessibility exhibit at the Carnegie Museum.
No, at the Science Center? Oh, the museum.
Yeah, the Museum of Art. It's a phenomenal
Wait, they
exhibit.
have something where the mouse will follow your eyes?
Yes.
Oh,
they
that's
do.
That's so freaking
it's
cool.
So great. Yeah, if you're unable to use your hands, you can.
Do you blink to click?
Ooh, I don't. I think you have to just look
Did
at it.
I just invent something that's worth
I
millions?
don't know. Maybe.
Blink to click.
Right. Just. But then, what's the one we were just talking about?
Theranos.
She would never be able to be on
Those
the homepage.
eyes don't close.
I'm stuck on the homepage. I can't get away.
It's like Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah. Gosh. But anyway,
I hope that's her actual name.
I hope that's her name.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
I think it is, right?
Yeah.
The non-blinking lady.
The non-blinking lady.
That name could literally represent like 3 million people.
I know. That's why I question myself as soon as I say it, because it's just such a common name.
I have a computer.
You have a tiny computer that you keep in your pocket, Josh?
You can look it up.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes.
And not blinking.
And not blinking.
It all just comes back to the very beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
This was off.
A little off topic.
We're good. We're good.
Okay. We can do whatever we want.
It's Elizabeth
We've
Holmes.
hijacked the show.
And the other...
It is Elizabeth Holmes? Okay, good.
Only other thing I want to point out are my obnoxious keys. So I had this really chic... vintage keychain that was like I was imagining myself like 1940s, it would be like, I don't know, Betty Davis going home, or Audrey Hepburn or something like that. And it was very, very chic, and I lost it, and I lost the keys, and I lost my really beautiful vintage keychain. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go the exact opposite route and just have the most obnoxious big. So I have this orange rubber
this thing?
lock on one side. The other side,
no,
it doesn't do anything. The other side is a Masai keychain with a flashlight. It's actually a Smith & Wesson flashlight,
Wait,
which
this
is
has
scary.
a flashlight in it?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the flashlight. It's Smith & Wesson, which is, I don't know where I got that from. It's weird because I'm not a gun owner.
No.
And then I have a 9 3/4.
Yeah, this one.
Platform 9 3/4.
I like this
spoon keychain because I'm a Harry Potter nerd.
You're a Harry Potter nerd?
I am.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
What's your house?
You have to guess.
Ooh.
I'm so because my children are now watching it. I never really watched it, so my knowledge is. I think I can name them all though.
Okay.
So
definitely not Slytherin.
I feel like since I've only seen 2 or 3-ish and parts of other ones. I feel like only 2 are really ever featured. Like is Hufflepuff ever like explored?
Hufflepuffs. They're kind
Are
of
you
ignored.
Hufflepuff?
No,
Okay.
they're kind of ignored.
Like you don't hear anything about them. It's
No.
like I'm either a Slytherin or
They're the like goofy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're a little
they're
weird,
they're
like
friends.
Luna.
Friends.
So it'd be too obvious to be Harry as Witch's Gryffindor, right?
I feel like Ravenclaw doesn't get a lot of play either.
So maybe
no.
are you
Gryffindor?
You were right.
Ravenclaw?
No,
Oh,
Gryffindor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gryffindor.
I
I mean,
believe
who's
it.
picking Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff?
Ravenclaw are the smarty pants.
Oh, okay.
And that's not. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
no one
more
wants to
like
claim they're smart.
Yeah, I'm more like Gryffindor energy. Like, what's going on? Running into it. Like, plan later. Yeah.
I don't know what I would be. Maybe I'd be a Slytherin because I'm.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm a Scorpio.
Maybe. Okay.
If you go blonde and slick that hair back, you could look like that.
I've been
the main
considering
Slytherin.
it.
Yeah.
I've been considering
I can't remember
it.
his name.
I just saw a photo of this Kristen Stewart because I shave my head. I have my husband shave my head every however many months, and I'm due for a shave.
Okay.
I'm getting a little mullety in the back here.
I like mullets, by the way.
You like mullets?
I love mullets.
Wow.
I just want to throw it out there.
Sure.
When I went to Germany, I saw a lot of urban mullets is what they called it.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were like, I used quotes because that was not my term. But they would shave and then have like the little fringe, like that kind of mullet.
Okay.
I saw so many. This was in 2006 or 7.
Whoa.
I saw so many like young hip German dudes walking around with weird mullets.
Okay, that might challenge my love of mullets.
Are you familiar with the Sulot?
What's the Sula?
Acronym short underneath, long on top. So like early 90s shaved on the sides. A very metal, kind of a metal thing.
Yeah, that is.
Like a Faith No More situation.
Okay.
The real Josh is coming out now.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Showing his.
I've said too much.
We're waiting to see the photos.
Wait.
I was probably never. No. I did have very, very long hair once, but it was never shaved underneath.
Did you have the Jimmy Eat World front man
I don't.
very
I have
down the middle
like this
part?
Late 38-year-old man for the past 25 years. This shirt.
It's a classic look.
It's pretty similar. Yeah. I don't change much, so I was born old, will die old.
No, for anybody who's wondering, Josh is wearing what appears to be khakis.
It's they're chinos because they're gray. I'd say khaki kind of insinuates the khaki color.
Okay.
Which I've been trying to get off of because that just makes my whole old unstylish situation so much worse.
Yeah.
This is a Kohl's Croft and Borrow. That's probably some fast fash right there.
Short sleeve with a pocket,
sure,
plaid.
yeah.
Plaid
I like
lavender.
The fact that lavender. I like that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's bold, man. That lavender. No, it's great. Hey, whatever works. I think that's the thing too. Is I watched. There's a really great documentary, Iris Apfel.
Oh gosh, I love her.
One of the things, it's an amazing documentary just to watch anyway, but she talks about how there's a difference between fashion and style.
Yes.
So fashion is very much about what's trendy at the moment, whereas style is something much more personal, much more timeless. And as soon as she said that, I was like, it just clicked for me.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why fashion is a challenging area to talk about and why it's so easily dismissed, because it does feel frivolous. It does feel
temporary.
Yeah, very very temporary, and it's so media heavy and dictatorial in a way, like wear this color and this is the length of the skirt and so people don't even realize that they can actually develop their own style. They don't have to follow trends. They can do whatever they want. And that's why I like the Clothesmith column, because it's just like, do whatever you want. And like the guy, Zach is wearing a t-shirt and a pair of pants, and he's just wearing it. And it's because it's the attitude. I mean, I say this all the time, but Coco Chanel said, look for the woman in the dress. Without the woman, there is no dress. The person is the important part of the clothes. It's the actual person, the person making them and the person wearing them. And to have a better understanding of that process of the making and the wearing of clothing, I think will help. And it is an environmental issue, because
100%.
You think about like where the clothes are made, who's getting paid, how much are they getting paid, the toxins of the dyes, the toxins in creating the fabric. And it's so it's something that we should be aware of and conscious of, and have fun with it, but just kind of do so responsibly, like so many other things. Like enjoy it, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, and I think just buying clothes that will last, and buying and spending a little bit more money on pieces that you can wear for years.
Exactly.
Just buy a really nice pair of jeans. Buy a really nice white dress shirt that is gonna stand the test of time. Yeah,
and just get it tailored. Spend a little bit extra money on that tailoring. Buy vintage, like the you had mentioned in your thrift store piece. Buying vintage, especially vintage menswear.
Oh yes,
it just makes me so happy to see well-made men. I mean, menswear, like well-made clothing. I make women's wear, but if I really want to get inspired, if I really want to look at the construction and the architecture of clothing, I look at vintage menswear, because that's when you just see like genius at work. It's really beautiful.
My husband, I'm so jealous of my husband because he's such a clothes hanger. Like he just wears clothes so nicely, and it makes me so mad.
Yeah. And sometimes I get a little angry with American men because they can just kind of not try. That might have actually been like one of my first style columns, was talking about menswear and talking about like, men, you're beautiful. Show us how beautiful you are.
I can't tell you how many times I've
have fun.
I think especially if you're a larger man, if you're taller or if you have a larger figure, I think it's just, I'm just going to buy an extra large t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Show
we want
it off.
Shoulders, pecs. You know what? This is exactly what I was worried about. This is what our editor-in-chief was worried about. You're going to just talk about men. You're going to talk about cute guys. We slowly started going to that era. Okay.
What men would you like to see in clothes,
next
Tereneh?
hour. For the next hour.
Oh, no.
Sexy dudes.
I'm going to get in so much trouble.
We got into this. She knew it.
Lisa's like, never again. We're never having Tereneh and Amanda.
Yeah, Lisa knew we were going to do this. Okay.
Oh,
we're not going to talk about cute guys.
No. Unless Josh wants us to.
I'm all set. Next time we're around, Lisa will come. She'll scribble some notes for us, and we'll tackle the.
She'll scribble some notes. She'll run in
issue.
as we're recording.
Yeah.
They talk about this too.
Actually, I just realized this jean jacket that I'm wearing is technically thrifted. I think actually my mom bought this for me at a flea market. Not flea market, a yard sale.
Okay.
It was $2.
Very cool.
Bill Blass. I don't even know if Bill Blass is around anymore.
Bill Blass. I don't know.
Original.
I'm feeling like he's not, but he still is with us.
I feel like it's one of those brands that went away and then some weird millionaire came in and said, I want you to come back.
That name. And then the logo is great because it's 2 B's.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yep.
Yep, the BB.
There you go.
Yeah, see the things I remember?
Yeah. So soon.
This is what you do with a master's degree in fashion design. I know that logo.
Well, it's like, do you remember Jenko jeans?
Yeah.
Jenko jeans, some weird millionaire, because they went away for a reason. And then some weird millionaire came in and was like, I want Jenko jeans to come back.
Yeah.
I want them back. And
yeah,
we're going
and
to have
like
heritage brands.
They're like $200 now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they look exactly as bad as they did when they first came out.
Well, they have regular ones. They have just regular
jeans just with but made by Jenko.
Yeah, and they have a huge.
Well, that's not Jenko jeans then.
Patch.
Jenko jeans are 40 pounds of cloth.
Yep.
And sit on a very skinny man who thinks he can skateboard.
Why? Why do they? It's always men who maybe weigh 130 pounds wet who wear these gigantic jeans. And you know what? I love it.
Yeah.
I saw a guy at a bus stop not that long ago wearing Jenko jeans.
Wow.
And I definitely weighed more than him. And I just looked and I said, you know what, man? Good for you.
Just go.
You're never going to get rid of those.
That's style.
How much belt do you need for you need like one of those dog collars that like dig into the neck to keep those jeans up. Like as your belt. Like they have to like pinch into you.
Yeah.
Like a choker collar. Because those things have to be so heavy.
Yeah, because they're going to fall down.
Yeah. I think most of it's just picking up.
Yeah. A lot of pull, a lot of exercise.
That's part of the the mystique.
That is.
I'm constantly pulling them up.
I'm holding up my pants.
Because when you fall off your skateboard.
Yeah.
You get up and you're like, well, gotta pull up my Jenkos.
Mm-hmm.
Also, why would you skate in Jenkos?
extra points.
Increase the difficulty points, skyrocket.
I don't know.
Like a triple toe loop in the Olympics.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not seeing a. I don't know. Do they have Olympic skateboarders? I feel like Jared Wickerham needs to be here to tell us this.
They've been lobbying for it. I don't know.
Because they have snowboarders.
Yeah, I just had this conversation strangely, and the conclusion was we didn't look. So I don't know. I can't answer. Yeah, I have no idea.
Did not ask the
we were like, I was like, they have. It ended with, well, they have snowboard. Okay, next topic of conversation.
Okay,
fine enough. You know what? To be fair, I don't really care.
Yeah,
so
I think that's probably where we ended up too.
Oh my goodness, we got so off topic. How are we on time? Are we still?
It's over. We have it's 10:59, and if we want to do a nice round hour.
Okay. Let's do a round. Let's do a round hour.
A round hour.
Nice round clean hour.
All right. Well, Tereneh, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, man. This is fun.
I always have such a great time with you.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah.
We have to meet up again sometime.
Always. Well, I keep joking that we're gonna have a podcast where you watch movies that you were not allowed to watch as a kid.
That would be hilarious.
I want to do it so
still
bad.
haven't watched them, so we should do that.
What was the one I said? Oh, Roadhouse.
I had to Google it.
Yeah.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it, and I'm gonna feel so bad for making you watch it.
Something to look forward
to. So yeah, if you guys want to film discussion podcast with Tereneh and I, we'll make a poll.
Yeah.
Probably not. Oh well, we'll see. But
Lynn
thank you so
Cullen
much.
Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com.
I enjoy reading
The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.